What's up everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood French Canadian, and today I want to show you a Barbarian build where we're going to be using a colossal weapon and fire damage as well. First off, I'll show you how this build works. I'll show you where to get the weapons, the Ashes of War we're going to be using, as well as the Talismans, and I'll also be going through the build stats for you guys. This is an early game build, so everything we're going to need is going to be mostly in Limgrave. We might run to Caelid to get some stuff, but that is totally optional. So I want to show off this build by fighting a really annoying enemy. You might have fought him, it's pretty early on, it's in the Stormhill jail, or Everjail, sorry. So with this build, you want to focus on trying to stance break enemies, whether it's using Flame of the Redmanes, or whether it's using jump attacks or charge heavy attacks. So we're going to do a lot of jumping attacks, we're going to do a lot of Flame of the Redmanes, to be able to get that critical. So we're going to use talismans that are going to help us with the damage on our jump attacks. And because it's going to require stamina, we're also going to use something that's going to help it make it easier for us to manage stamina. And I chose fire damage specifically because it scales off of strength, but you can also use, a regular Ash of War and use heavy affinity if you prefer to do that. But overall, this is going to be very strong against bosses and regular enemies alike because you're going to be stance breaking them left and right. I fought Margit with this and I didn't even have the fire yet, so I was using the standard upwards cut Ash of War and I broke his stance like 4 or 5 times during that fight. And I don't usually focus on builds that are super OP and do the most optimal damage ever. But for the start of the game, not only do you want to have fun, you don't want to feel like you're struggling the entire time. And I think that this build will give you that. So I honestly think it's also really good for beginners. And as you can see, I was doing pretty good damage on that Crucible Knight. And yes, it's definitely possible to break their stance. They're immune to a lot of stuff like bleed. And their armor can protect them against a lot of things. But it can't protect them against the bonk. The Kirk hammer in Bloodborne was one of my favorite weapons to use, so I kind of wanted to recreate something like that for this game. So if you want to make this build exactly, stick around, I'll show you everything you need. So for our big bonk hammer, you need to have defeated Margit, make your way to the left of the castle, the left of the gate I mean, go to Stormville cliffside. Oopsie. So follow me and I'll show you where to get this hammer. I almost fell off the cliff. Again. Whoops. This is the wine cellar area, I think it's called. I think I'm just going to ignore all the enemies. How did it not? Okay. Yep. Okay. Y'all gonna be like that? So to get the key to open this door, you need to go fight the Banished Knight. But once it's opened, you can come up here. And we gotta jump over here. Make sure to kill these guys because they will pelt you with freaking bombs. And it's annoying. Also apparently if you hit this barrel, it also blows you up because, I got fire on this. So now when you're here, you want to jump on this platform. There's going to be 2 enemies down here. You want to bonk them. Okay. Okay, you just fell. Nice. Oh my gosh, I almost died. So once you come here, the hammer will be on this body. And this is like the item you can see from down here. Now that you got yourself the hammer, we're going to get the Ash of War we're going to be using. I'll give you 2 choices because I'm going to be using fire for this build, but you can also use a standard Ash of War, like the upward cut, and use heavy affinity, which works well with strength as well, of course. So if you want to be using a heavy Ash of War, you want to go see Knight Burnhall in Warmaster's Shack. So what you want to do to get there is go through the gate front, come up here to Stormhill Shack, and you want to take a right, follow this road, and you'll be able to find him pretty easily. Now for the Ash of War that I'm using, we have to go to Caelid. You can take this Site of Grace here and make all your way down to the Church of America. There's a teleporter here, and it will teleport you right on top here. So you'll be in Caelid, you can take the Site of Grace, and then make your way where we need to go, which is right here. I think it's quicker to start from the War Master's Shack, make your way here, and then make your way down here. So the Ash of War we're going to be using for this is the Flame of the Redmanes, and I used it on my previous dragon build. It's really strong and I'm in love with it. So what you want to do is I take the Site of Grace forward to Gale North, and you'll see an invisible scarab. He'll be roaming around this area. So what you want to do is just stand here and then hit him as he passes by, and you'll get the Ash of War we need. Now once you do that, go to any Site of Grace or a round table hold, and put the Ash of War on your weapon. And then select Fire. This will give a better letter rating in strength and dexterity, and that is what we want because it's a strength build. And Fire actually does scale with strength, oddly enough. So the more strength you have, the more damage you'll do with the Flame of the Redmanes Ash of War. But also every time we hit enemies with our weapons, that will apply fire damage. And that all again scales with our strength, so we'll do a lot of fire damage and a lot of physical damage with this build. And similarly, if you don't want to use the Fire Ash of War and you want to use the upward cuts as I mentioned earlier, you'll actually get a better letter rating in strength. It'll be B instead of C. But I do think that fire damage is really underrated in this game because a lot of enemies are weak to it. Enemies that are really annoying to fight, such as dogs, rats, wolves, and especially those freaking disgusting hands will all freak out once they catch fire, and once you hit them with your weapon, they catch fire the first time. So not only are they weak to it, they'll freak out and they'll stop attacking you. So it makes fighting these annoying enemies really, really painless. For the talismans, we'll be using the Claw Talisman and the Hammer Talisman. So the Claw Talisman actually makes you do 15% more damage on jump attacks, and as I mentioned earlier in the first part of the video, we're going to be using jump attacks a lot. For the Hammer Talisman, any enemy that is blocking, like enemies with shields, you'll be doing more damage against them. You can also use the Turtle Talisman, I think it's called. That one will help you with stamina regen. You can find it in this village right here in Limgrave. But I really like that I have the ability to do more damage to enemies that are blocking, so shielded enemies cannot escape us. We do more damage when they're blocking, we'll stance break them, we'll critical them, it'll be great. So to get this talisman, you need to come to Stormhill, it's in Limgrave, and you want to go into this building here. Once you get in the front of that building, you'll be invaded by an NPC, and once you defeat him, he will drop the talisman. So it's pretty straightforward. All you need to do is follow this road right here, and eventually he will invade you. To get the second talisman, the Claw Talisman, we need to go to the Rampart Tower Site of Grace. Once you teleport here, you don't want to go outside, we want to go back up the stairs, and we're going to actually go on the roof. How dare you? I really thought I was gonna dodge that. Once you get up here, you want to go straight for the sandbags, jump onto this ledge, and then jump down on these little raptor things. I don't know what they are. There's some broken down parts of the building here. We're gonna jump on those and then walk on this ledge. Go all around it, and there's gonna be 3 enemies to your right, and there's one there sleeping. What you want to do is take this ladder all the way up, but it's freaking long, so what you want to do is actually kill those enemies because they will be annoying. Once you finally get here, the talisman will be right on his body. So now that we've got everything that we need, I'm going to show you the build stats. So I leveled up quite a bit because I actually recorded this video, realized that my microphone was not set, and everything I recorded it just didn't have my voice, so then I had to do it again. But anyways, basically you can do this build level 30, 35. I think you need to be 34 exactly, which is what I was before I leveled up. So I had 20 vigor, 12 endurance, and 31 strength when I was level 34. And that's basically the 3 stats that you will need for this build. What do you want to focus on after you have all the strength you need to use the brick hammer? Is you want to make sure you have at least a 30 to 35 vigor, then you want to start dumping more points into endurance. But that's pretty much the idea behind this build. And as you noticed, I started with a wretch class for this build because I wanted a clean slate. And I know people say you can't really be optimal with it, but in my opinion, like, you start at level 1 and you already have 10 points in every category. So to me at least it made sense to use wretch, but maybe if you're a beginner, don't want to start at level 1 and have to like defeat enemies with a freaking club, then I would suggest using the hero class. Not only will you get really cool armor, you'll also get a battle axe to start off with. Now it's not the greatest weapon, I personally don't like it, but it gets the job done. Now let's say you want the champion set, but you don't want to use a hero and you want to use a wretch. Well, you can actually find the entire champion set right here in Caelid. This nomadic merchant sells it. There's also this set you can farm, looks pretty barbarian, more Viking-ish, but still it works if you like it. So there's gonna be one dude at the side of Grace, and there's generally a few like in this area, more to the northeast, and there's also a few in this area right here. But because I am dead set on playing a barbarian, I actually am not wearing anything except for pants. I made her buff for a reason. I don't want to cover it all up with clothes. I think this looks really cool, so I want to show it off. So because this build will take a lot of points into strength to start, and it's pretty hard to do that in the beginning, I want to show you a trick my friend showed me actually yesterday. Basically, you want to cheese a knight's cavalry that's in Caelid, and you'll be able to get 42,000 runes out of it in like 1 minute, literally. So that's how I was able to pump my strength up to 31 with this trick. So what you want to do is, if you haven't come here already, you can take the teleporter as I showed you at the 3rd Church of America. You'll be teleported here. You can take the Side of Grace, go down this bridge, be wary of the dragon, come down here, you'll see a Sorcerer's Rise. You can take the Side of Grace, and then the Knight's Cavalry will be patrolling right on this bridge. So make sure you switch to nighttime, and then go on the bridge, and you want to get his attention. Obviously he'll start hitting you, but what you want to do is not fight him. You want to just run straight for that hill right in front. Basically there's going to be traps on the ground, the poison traps, and as you run through them you'll activate them basically, and he'll run through them as well. So as you make your way through this, he'll continue chasing you and he'll continue getting poisoned. But as you make your way up the hill, like in this area, he'll actually freak out and just jump off the cliff, and you'll get like 42,000 runes just for doing that. It's pretty stupid, and it's the easiest way you can do that early game. So that's how you make an early game barbarian. You know, there's definitely more great axes or great hammers you can choose from. There's a great axe actually pretty early on you can get if you take this Side of Grace. There's a caravan like in this area, and all you need to do is defeat the enemies there, hit one of the giants, and then loot the great axe from that caravan. But I wanted to use a hammer, so I'm going to be using the brick hammer. And then later on, actually with this build, we'll be able to use the duelist's hammers and dual wield them, and they're super cool looking. Like, the second I saw them I was like, man, I need to make a strength build now because this is freaking awesome. This is my first time making a strength build in this game, so I'm having a lot of fun with this. Let me know how you made your own barbarian and what weapons you're using. I hope that everything I showed in this video was helpful. If you want more Elden Ring content, there is plenty more on my channel. So have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you all very soon.